Hey everyone, and welcome to another Sasquatch Theory podcast. On this episode, we have John from Oregon State, and he had some terrifying, strange experiences off of the Trinity River where he lives at. Although John never saw the creature, you can tell that these experiences have really rattled him, and he's been wondering about them ever since, searching for answers. Oregon State and Northern California have been known to have Sasquatch activity for many years, and it's the area where Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin filmed the Patty footage, and it's also near the area where Ron Moorhead recorded the Sierra sounds. So we know these creatures are in the area, and a lot of people are experiencing the activity and laying eyes on these creatures. Have you had a Bigfoot encounter before? If so, please get in touch with me sometime, and I would really like to hear about it. All right, with all that being said, let's dive straight into John's Bigfoot experiences from the state of Oregon. John, welcome to Sasquatch Theory. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. I appreciate you talking to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you reaching out and sharing some of your experiences with me. John, if you would, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your Bigfoot and cryptid experiences from the very beginning, please.
Well, now I'm 56. I spent 4 years in the military. I'm a vet. I'm an Eagle Scout, Boy Scout. I've spent my whole life in the woods since I was a little tyke in the Sierra Nevadas, the southern Sierra Nevadas, all the way to when I moved to Northern California in the Humboldt region. I lived there for 30 years. Actually, I lived in Willow Creek, which, for anyone listening, knows that that's the closest town to the Patterson-Gimlin film, where it was shot. I'm currently in Southern Oregon. Yeah, pretty much just living in the woods. I don't live in cities or anything like that. I'm always out in the woods. I've spent my whole life in the woods.
That's incredible. And I've always wondered what it's like to live in the Sierra Nevadas and around Willow Creek. What's it like living around Willow Creek? Is it a small area, or does the creek go through a vast territory?
Well, the actual Willow Creek is just kind of some drainage that feeds into the Trinity River, which is a major salmon and steelhead river tributary off the Klamath.
Wow, that's incredible. Have you heard of any Bigfoot encounters in that area other than the Patterson footage? Like, did you hear rumors of these things living in the area?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's the Hoopa Reservation and in Witchpeck, in that whole area is all reservation land. So, there were a lot of native people that that you would talk to or meet and stuff like that. And yeah, there were always stories, and I was in the woods a lot back then. I was 24/7. I was in the woods back in those days. And well, I never really had anything happen while I was actually in the woods. But my house that I owned bordered right on the Six Rivers National Forest. And I had an experience at my house where the thing came up right up behind my house against my back fence. Oh, that scared the shit out of me.
Okay. So what happened that day? What were you doing? And what transpired when the Sasquatch showed up?
Well, we were just out front enjoying the sunset. And I ran inside for a second, and when I came back outside, my friends all, "Hey, there's something coming down the mountain right now, right behind the house." And all of a sudden, my dog which is a German Shepherd. And the reason I got her was because I had a run-in with a mountain lion in the woods that stalked me, and I didn't have a dog or a gun on me and scared the crap out of me. So I got a German Shepherd, and then I started training her, all the Schutzen training, the tracking and bite work and obedience. And I got a lot of comments when I was camping about how my dog would roam the campground and chase all the bears away. So she's not afraid of bears, mountain lion, nothing. And when this happened at my house, she ran inside, ran into the back bedroom, and just curled up in a ball and wouldn't come out. And black bears, dude, black bears, when they hear a human or smell a human, they take off. They don't hang around and check you out. And at least none of the bears in this region did. They took off. They bolted, and they're loud. And this thing was coming right for my house. With all the talking we were doing, it kept coming. Bears do not do that. And it just kept coming, crashing through, branches breaking, just, this wasn't a skunk walking on, dried leaves. This thing was just crashing through. And this is where it gets weird. It came up on, something was in the bush. I mean, and these were manzanitas. I was in this little, my back area opened up to this little, 30, 40 by 40 opening. There was just manzanita. And I saw the bushes move. I knew it was right there because I could hear it, but there was nothing there. And every time I think back on it, it's so confusing. I mean, I don't even really. And then it came down right to my back, and then it moved along my fence, and I'm just 10 feet away from it. This isn't 50 feet or 100. I'm 10 feet away, and I'm seeing the bushes move, and there's nothing there. Yeah, it's baffling to this day. And I mean, a lot of people hear stories and oh, what a wacko, I mean, Bigfoot cloaking, wacko. I don't know what else it could have been. And it was huge. It was breaking branches, stomping shit. And there was nothing there. Yeah, so, and then it just kind of wandered off back into the forest, and you could hear it going the whole way. And bears do not come to human voices. If it heard me, it would have bolted. It never would have come down onto my back fence line. So that's the story from the back of my house.
Okay. Before we move on to anything else, were the bushes like really thick, or do you think the creature was like cloaking or invisible, or it was just able to stay hidden very well? What are your theories about that?
I could see the ground. I could see through the manzanita. It was not so thick. No, there was something moving that you couldn't see. I mean, I saw the goddamn bushes move. I watched something move, but there was nothing there. I spent my whole life in the woods, man. I was in the Army for 4 years. All I did was live in the woods. I've lived in the woods in the daylight, at nighttime. Matter of fact, in the nighttime, I'm more comfortable in the woods than anywhere on this planet. The woods feel safe to me. Like, I'm not afraid. I don't freak out. I don't. But there was something moving, and you couldn't see it.
Yeah. That's frightening. So the first red flag that you had was a German Shepherd curling up into a ball and hiding. And then did you feel like this fear overcome you, or what happened next before the bushes started moving?
Yeah, I mean, something was coming down, and we were like, "Oh, a bear! It must be a bear coming." But the more we talked, and we weren't whispering, we were loud, and it came right. It just I could hear it 10 feet. Like, it's the strangest thing to hear. I mean, it was just right up on me. It couldn't have been more than 15 feet from me. I mean, that's how close the bushes were that it was crashing through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine crashing through a bunch of bushes, but nothing's making the bushes move. There's nothing, you don't see anything.
Yeah. So how far away could you hear this thing coming at you? Like whenever it was crashing through the woods and breaking limbs and trees, like how far away?
Minutes.
Okay.
Like, for minutes we listened to this. Like, I, I mean, it was pretty high up on the mountain when it started coming down. Like, I mean, we were listening to this thing and talking about it and discussing what we thought it was and what was going on and why it kept coming towards us, the whole time. And yeah, yeah, I felt this apprehension because it just kept coming. And then my dog ran, and she's trained. She spent her whole life in the woods too. She ain't afraid of nothing. I mean, nothing. I've had campers come up and tell me, "Hey, thank you for letting your dog roam the campground at night because she's kept all the bears away all night." She ain't afraid of nothing, and she's trained. Um,
Yeah. I often get people that say in the comments, you just need to leave these things alone. They didn't do anything to you. But in this case, you were at your house. Like, what do you think caused this? Do you think it was the dog? Did you guys cut down some trees? Were you firing weapons, cooking food? Did you make some calls? Like, what's your theory? Why do you think this thing crashed through the woods and came at you? Because you weren't searching for them or messing with them. Like, what do you think happened?
no. uh, you know, I mean, um, yeah, we were just minding our own business, you know. Um, I really have no idea, maybe other than, I mean, I lived right on the Trinity River pretty much. It was just right across the street from me. So I was always steelheading and salmon fishing. S- So yeah, and I had a big plywood board that I would use that I would just lean up against the house so that I cleaned these giant fish on, and chopped them up and filleted them. Um, but other than that, I mean, I know that the bears would come around because two properties down they had a bunch of fruit trees and orchards, and I know the bears uh, would come and, yeah, demolish those trees. So that's what I was initially thinking, um, but not after it came right up within feet of me. I knew it wasn't a bear. I mean,
Yeah. And what did you do whenever it came up right up to you? Like, did you take off running? Did you stand there? What happened next?
we stood there. I was standing next to my friend, and we were just trying to see what was coming down at us, just staring into the woods, looking at it, for every noise. And it just kept coming and coming, until it was on the animal trail that was right behind my house. You could fucking see it, dude. The trail. Um, the deer would always walk down that same trail. And because it was lined, there were a bunch of blackberry bushes there too. So the deer would come and would eat the blackberries. But yeah, it was an animal trail that was within, a couple feet of my back fence. Um,
Yeah.
and that's what it.
Something triggered this thing. And did your dog ever go roaming through the woods? Do you think maybe that's what caused it? Like it was kind of intimidating you and your pet to stay where you are and quit going into the woods. What do you think?
Well, my property was fenced. That property I had was fenced, and so yeah, my dog couldn't go up into the woods or anything right there. It's just it's 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 baffling.
Yeah. It sounds like it was just being a dick. Like you didn't do anything and it was trying to intimidate you and scare you.
Or maybe, yeah, checking us out, or maybe looking for a path that it could take to get to the river. Because, yeah, the river was right past my house.
Yeah, these things definitely follow
That's,
the waterways, so that's probably where it traverses through the land.
yeah, and that's more of what I was thinking, that it was trying to get to the river. And it, came down on me and then started to walk property lines till it found a way that it could get down to the river.
Yeah, that's very possible. What else have you experienced after this? Have you had any more encounters with these things? And by the way, just to clear the air for the people listening, in no way do you think this is Bigfoot, but you did contact me because you thought it was unusual and you could never figure out what it was. And I will say for sure that this is Bigfoot activity. I wasn't there, I didn't see the creature, but this is what they do, and I've experienced the same type of activity. And I always describe it as like someone putting like an S10 pickup truck like in neutral and letting it roll down through the mountain or the
Yeah.
hill, and it just crashes through the woods and stops right at the edge of the wood line.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good, yeah, good analogy.
Mm.
But before I even had Bigfoot on my mind, or honestly, it never really thought about it. Um, I was camping with my dad and another friend of mine, and we were up in the Hilton Lakes area of the southern Sierra Nevadas. The trailhead starts at Rock Creek, which is 10,000 foot. And we go back to this Hilton Lakes area at least once a year. I mean, year after year after year after year. Well, one time we were up there, and it was uh, really early in the season. It might have been before Memorial Day, but it was before people got out into the woods and started camping and stuff. And we had hiked back in, 5 miles back to this location, and there was no one back there, not a soul. And me and my friend one day, we were we decided to go and we were camping on a lake, Davis Lake. And so we decided we were going to go fish in the lake, and we were on the other side of the lake most of the day. And we came back, and my dad was sitting there, I don't know, boiling some water, and he's all, "Real funny, guys." And me and my friend looked at each other and, "What are you talking about?" And he's all, "Real funny messing with my tent." "What are you talking about? We've been on the other side of the lake the whole day." He's all, "Shut up, you guys." He's all, "You messing with my tent. You're putting your hands on my tent. I could see your handprints on my tent." We're like, "Dad, I was on the other side of the lake. There's no one here." So something was shaking his tent, and yeah, putting their hands on the tent while my dad was sleeping or taking a nap in there during the day. Yeah, broad daylight. So I've had things like that have happened to me in the woods. Right now, I'm in Portland, Oregon, or not Portland, Oregon. I'm in Southern Oregon, in the Klamath Falls area. And last year, last summer, we were fishing Annie Creek right out of Crater Lake. Um, and we had walked back into the canyon, and this is for people who don't know, the Oregon woods are thick. I mean, they're really thick. It's not all these giant spaced trees and everything. Like, it's thick, 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 thick. And we were walking up this canyon. There's no trails. You just log hopping over dead wood, and it's actually kind of strenuous, like just getting back. So we were fishing at Annie Creek, up this creek, and well, we were there for a few hours, and we kind of met up in this sunny spot where we could warm up ourselves, and we were on the creek, and then the wood line just started a few feet away from the creek and got thick. On a sunny, no wind, no nothing, everything is still. And all of a sudden, this giant lodgepole pine, 100-foot tree comes crashing down right in front of us. That just doesn't happen. A live tree don't just come crashing down with no wind and no storm, no nothing. Right in front of us, scared the living shit out of us. And then all of a sudden, yeah, we just got this feeling of apprehension, this feeling of we shouldn't be here, this feeling of you're in the wrong place. And then something started moving back there where that I didn't see what actually dropped that tree right down in front of us. But we heard something walk away, and we're like, well, we better get the fuck out of here. So check it out. So we left, we walked out, walked to the car, we left, we came back 3 days later because we like fishing this creek. And we're like, well, I hope we don't run into anything this time. So we decided instead of walking up into the canyon, we would walk down and fish that section. So we followed this, right out where I parked my truck, this trail kind of leads down to the river right by my truck. So we walked down the trail and started fishing. We're fishing for a few hours, 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever. We came back, and dude, not 20 feet from my truck, in the middle of the trail, laying in the trail, is this dead marmot. No bite marks, no bite marks, no nothing. Just laying there, sprawled out in the middle of the trail, and you could see where something had squeezed it to kill it, and then just laid it there in the trail. Animals, when they're dying, they don't just go up to a trail next to humans and die in the middle of a trail. When animals are dying, they crawl back into a hole somewhere. I mean, something killed this thing and then just laid it right out on the trail. So much so that we couldn't get back to the truck without seeing it. Um, I don't know what else that could be other than something was gifting us this. I, and it happened 3 days after something knocked over a lodgepole pine in front of us. Um, yeah, so anyways, so I'm tripping, like there's some weird shit going on here. Animals don't just die on a, it just doesn't, that just doesn't happen. So, and then here's the experience that I initially called you about. In this, in the same area, I was up just out of Fish Lake up here. I was in the Rogue River National Forest. Um, and we were mushroom hunting, and not not 2 miles from Fish Lake, on the other side of the highway, just up right up in there. And it was kind of a cloudy day, and I ended up kind of getting lost and turned around, and started to get worried because I didn't really know where I was and what direction to go. I was too busy looking down the ground in old growth, thick forest, trying to find mushrooms. And I hit this little clearing, and so I was standing out in the clearing, trying to look around, see if I could get my bearings. And then all of a sudden, just loud, just loud, right in the tree line. I I heard I heard this lip flapping noise, like what horses do. Except there's no horses in the Rogue River National Forest, no wild horses, anyways. And there were no people up there. No one's riding in old, thick, old growth. No one's riding horses through there. There were no trailers. There were no horse campgrounds for people to stage to take their horses out. I mean, I was in thick old growth national forest. Yeah, in the middle of nowhere. You imagine you're mushroom hunting. If you stay where humans go, all that's going to be picked. So you got to go in the middle of the woods. And something flapped its lips at me, and so that, and then I started getting scared, and I don't get scared. That just doesn't. I don't get scared. That doesn't happen, especially in the woods. The woods is my safe spot. And I started looking around, trying to see what made this noise. I know there's elk around. Was that an elk? Do elk make that noise? I just started I just started getting really scared. Um, and I started running. I I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know. It trips me out to this day. And I eventually found a road and followed it out, and got my bearings. But then I went home and started doing research, started going on all the hunting channels and bird calling and animal calling channels, and listening to all the noises, listening to nature, listening to everything I could about elk and deer and anything else that might possibly be in there, that would make that kind of noise. And I mean, I haven't heard anyone say that, you know, I mean, elk don't make that noise. At least no one talks about it anywhere. And I don't know. Any research I've done, I have no idea what made that noise. Um, yeah, and that feeling of fear, um, which just doesn't happen to me. I spent my whole life in the woods. I'm not afraid of nothing. There's nothing in those woods.
Yeah. Everything you've described does sound like Bigfoot activity. When I had my encounters here in Missouri, they left, like, I think it was a squirrel in the middle of the trail and it was skinned. And I mean, it's similar to like when a hunter shoots a squirrel and then like peels the skin like a banana. It was like that, but right in the middle of the trail. So I thought that was unusual because there's a lot of stuff going on in that same spot with the Sasquatch. So I did think it was them. I didn't see them do it, but it did make me think that they were leaving me like a gift to let me know that I was being watched. And yeah, the big tree that came crashing down, that is unusual because I mean, it takes like a rotten tree just to fall on its own, or snow load, or when things are frozen outside. But for a living tree just to come crashing down, that is unusual. And Sasquatch will get territorial when you're in the area, and they'll push down a tree, and when you look, there's nothing there, and it just makes you feel like I don't know, like you're being watched. There's this unsettling feeling of fear and dread, and you know it's them whenever like you hear like 2 or 3 trees come crashing down within like 30 minutes, and there's no wind outside, no snow, nothing, just a calm day, and it definitely lets you know that something's around. The sound that you heard whenever you were mushroom hunting in the Rogue River National Forest, you described it sounding like a horse whenever it exhales, and you can tell like it has like a big set of lungs. Whenever I had a Bigfoot encounter here, an eye-sighting encounter, I saw the thing walk off. It was just like the Roger Patterson film, and I followed the thing in the woods, and whenever I did, I couldn't see it anymore, but I knew where it went. And when I got close, I could hear the thing huffing. And that's what I described it as, was like a horse exhaling, or like an angry caveman Neanderthal. Like you could hear it just like, and I knew it was him because that's the exact direction it went. And I mean, it terrified me. Just hearing it scared me more than seeing it, because you could just feel like how intense this creature was, or how big it was. Yeah, I think that's what it was, man. You've been followed by these creatures, or you just happen to run across them. And I'm sure that after you had these experiences, they weighed heavy on your mind, and you thought about them a lot. And like you said, you did research to try to figure out what it was. And a lot of times we think to ourselves like there's an explanation to it, but in the back of our minds, I wonder if that was Sasquatch.
Yeah, yeah, you do. But when the coincidences start stacking up of the impossibles, that's, you know, there are no coincidences. I mean, they just don't keep stacking up like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you go looking around in the forest for these creatures?
You know, not specifically. I know well, no, I did walk down to Bluff Creek one day on a hike. But no, typically not really. And it's never really just dominated my thought processes so much as really since, I mean, the one in Willow Creek scared the crap out of me, but it didn't really dominate my mind so much as this last one, where it felled over a lodgepole and then gifted let it and then what I feel is that it left a gift saying thank you for going downriver, not upriver.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, that's a good theory. And do you plan on going back into the forest to go camping and just hanging out and catching some fish?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm yeah, I'm not afraid of going into the woods or anything like that, but I am just a lot more aware these days. I mean, there's something in the woods. There's something in the woods doing things that normal animals that we know of aren't doing. and define it and call it whatever you want to call it. But there's something moving around in the woods that isn't what we typically know of. Yeah, just too many things have happened in sequence. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I called you. A lot of my stuff is circumstantial, but I was really curious about. I mean, are there similar circumstances or experiences that other people are having that are the same? Especially that horse flapping. Man, there's no horses in deep old growth. That's just, it just doesn't happen. But
Yeah, there's too many
yeah.
experiences just to ignore. And have you ever heard of giants being found in the area, like giant skeletons? Is that a thing in that area where you've had these experiences? Have you heard any rumors of that or found any information regarding the existence of ancient giant skeletons?
I've read about that stuff. I don't know of anything, and that's really never been in the context of what I've experienced or what I'm doing in the woods. I don't know much about that, though I have heard that there are giant skeletons being found.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I just wonder because in the areas where I've had Bigfoot experiences and encounters, people have found giant skeletons in the caves by the rivers, and it's been documented
Oh,
in the newspapers back in the day. You don't hear much about it anymore, but I was just wondering, like, in other areas where people have had experiences, has there been giants found? And I mean, even if there has, it's hard to place a connection with Bigfoot, but it does make me wonder why they're in certain areas. And I do believe it's because of the waterways, the vast forest, and the food and wildlife.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, you know what? I mean, for me, honestly, just watching the Patterson Gimlin film, there's no way that's a dude in a suit. I mean, dude, there's something moving around and there's a picture of it right there. Whatever the reasons are that it's difficult photographing them or getting other definitive proof or whatever, I don't know. But that film, that's fucking real.
Oh
Look
yeah,
at that thing.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
real.
People
When you
often
see a man
wonder.
in a suit,
Uh,
when you see a man in a suit, they don't walk that way.
no, you can tell it's a man in a suit, and this thing is very robust. People often wonder, I wonder what a Sasquatch looks like. I wonder what it's like to have a Bigfoot encounter. Well, if you look at that film, that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the same honestly with at least at least what those GIs experienced in Afghanistan with that red-haired giant. I was in the army. I did my time. GIs were not movie stars looking for fame. Like, and when you have military personnel coming out saying that it happened, then it happened.
Yeah,
That I mean, take a look at who these people are. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
I've spoke with a guy in Missouri who said he was there whenever they brought the giant to the base. He wasn't there whenever they shot it at the cave, and he didn't see it, but he said it was in a really large crate. And before all of them left that area or that base, they took all their cell phones, their tablets, and they made them turn it all in. And they took like a big drill and drilled through each phone and like threw it in a box or a crate or whatever and disposed of everyone's electronics. But I try to get him to talk more about it, but he was just dead serious. Like, nope, nope, I will not talk about it. Like, I can't talk about it. That's all I can say. And I've gotten the same response with people in the military regarding these strange events that have taken place. I talked to a Navy mechanic specialist. I mean, he works like on airplanes and stuff, but I asked him about the strange aircrafts that I've seen here in Missouri, and he gave me a real serious look and said, I can't talk about that. And it's not like, haha, I know something that you don't know and I can't tell you. It's like fear, like dread, like terror, like I can't talk about that. And it makes you wonder, like, what do they make these guys sign? They know the repercussions, like you'll end up in Guantanamo Bay, or like they'll take away everything you got and put you in prison.
Well, everyone signs NDAs when, yeah, especially if you have any sort of clearance, top secret or higher, they sign NDAs. So, yeah, I mean, they put you on an NDA to start, so you just can never talk about nothing.
Yeah, it's
That's just
never
kind of how it works.
it's never like, haha, I know more than you do. It's always like PTSD. You can tell like deep fear like strikes them whenever you even bring it up. It's like, no. It's almost like, I don't know, like you saw a murder, like someone be killed, and like you know, if you talk about it, like the cartel is going to come after you, like that type of feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel bad for them. I mean, you sign up for service and then you end up like with these secrets that you can't ever tell anyone and you have to live with, and you know no one will believe you, and if you talk about it, it'll probably be the end of you.
Yeah, yeah. I, I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know what the motive is for keeping everything hush hush, but there's just too many data points, you know. It's just too many people experiencing too much shit for it to be made up. What do you think all these people are talking to each other to make up these huge conspiracy? No, I mean, especially with Sasquatch, there's just too many people over goddamn too big of a region. It's just too many people for it all to be a hoax. What, you got all these guys running around with fake shoes on, like Bigfoot shoes or something? I mean, come on. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you don't got to be a conspiracy theory guy to believe in the fact that there's just too much. There's
Yeah.
just too much for it all to be a hoax. It's just
Yeah,
too much.
I agree. And I mean, the people that claim that they were the guy in the suit in the Patterson film, I think they're full of it. And the people that claim they made the tracks, like in Washington, they claim that they're wearing like stilts and they had these tracks and this is how they made it. But like, I don't think they were in Missouri or Arkansas and all over the United States or all over the world doing that. Like, I just don't see someone having the time and money to trick that many people. And
Yeah,
I don't know, it's
or
kind of
or
embarrassing.
they were all, they were up in the Himalayas during that expedition where they found those giant tracks in the snow. I mean, yeah, dude. There might be one guy running around a suit that is a teenager who's trying to be funny, or some guys, a couple of teenagers going out making tracks, but that doesn't account for all of them.
Right. And even if they did do it, like, yeah, we're the ones that made those tracks. Like, okay, you did it in that area, but what about in the rest of the world? I mean, they don't have an explanation for that. And I mean, there's been incidents where like loggers claim that they're being terrorized by these things, and it flipped over like the bulldozer, all the machinery, and threw like barrels full of oil, like, I don't know, like
Yeah,
yards away. And it's like no person can just pick that up and crush them like a can.
yeah, and that's part of what I was saying, that there's just there's things happening that cannot be attributed to just a bear. I mean,
Yeah. What do you think they are?
you know, I think they're intelligent. I mean, they're intelligent enough to know and be aware to stay away from us. So that's pretty damn intelligent. And so, I mean, the question is, when you go walking in the woods or go for a hike, and a lot of hunters experience this that are bear hunting or deer or elk hunting. I mean, what do you got to go through to find something? and then the hours you got to wait in your blind or in your tree stand, or you know, and though, and now imagine that you're trying to track something, and that's what they do for bear and deer, and sometimes they'll never see one. I mean, imagine if something was aware of you enough to stay away from you.
Mm-hmm.
These forests are so thick. They're they could be anywhere, dude. They are thick. I mean, thick. Some of these forests. I mean, they're thick. Anything could be hiding in there. Anything. And
Yeah.
living good because there's so much. I think they're intelligent. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, you know, I don't. I don't know about this stuff. I they're more than just primate. I'm they're more than just primate. That's what I think.
Yeah,
They're,
absolutely. And there's been a lot of good evidence that has come out of that area, such as the Patterson film and the Ron Moorhead Sierra vocalizations. And when you listen to that, it sounds, I don't know, evil. You can tell that it's some type of creature that people normally do not hear. And he was pretty brave to go up there and camp and take his horses and I mean, to actually be able to capture those vocalizations. Because if I heard that, I don't know if I'd stick around. I mean, some of those sounds were just, I don't know, like demonic. It sounded like some type of evil creature.
yeah, I don't. I don't know. I often wonder. The stories you always hear about are the people who disregard their feelings, and then then something happens. Um, but like when I go in the woods, I have no apprehension. I mean, I feel safe. I feel the trees like blanket me with my comfort blanket. Like it's just, I feel safe. Nothing can sneak up on me in the woods. Like I am so safe in the woods, it's ridiculous. um and I remember backpacking one time back into the Sierras, and I remember I finally got back in there. I was all by myself. Finally dropped down that last pass, dropped into the valley where the water and the lakes and streams were. And as soon as I set my pack down, this feeling of, I mean, I mean, just intense fear. Like you need to get the fuck out of here right now. And I'm looking around, trying to see if there's people or something around. There's something watching me, and my feelings were just, you need to get the fuck out now. And so I was going to stay back in there for a week, and instead I hiked back out and then car camped and fished, on the valley floor. Um, and so, I'm not afraid of the woods, and not to this day, I'm not afraid of the woods. But I've had instances where fears just overcome me, and I have no explanation for it at all.
Yeah.
And I know that's circumstantial. I know, take it in context from what I've been through, but at the same time, I mean, I know people can freak out, but this fear was, and it was like when the I heard the horse flap, and it was a similar fear. I mean, I started fucking running when I heard the flapping, like fear, dude. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but they're out there. Absolutely. I know it knocked over that lodgepole pine on me.
Yeah. It was being territorial for sure. And you were smart
Yep.
not to ignore the signs. I mean, as a hunter, like, there are little things in the woods that let you know that something's around. I'll be hunting and I'll hear like the smallest twig snap, and I start paying attention, and I know something's coming, and a few minutes later, or even like 30 minutes later, here comes a buck, and it's like, I knew I heard something. Or you'll hear like the squirrels jump up in the trees and start barking. It's like something's around. Or you'll hear the blue jays going off, and those little things, those little subtle things, let us know that something big is coming. So what you experience, like a big tree coming down, or something flapping its lips like a horse, like that lets you know that something's around, and you weren't overthinking it. You were being smart about it. And yeah, I mean, when you took off running, it's a good thing it didn't chase you, because a lot of times with big predators, when you take off running, that lets them know to chase. And yeah, that's good.
I, dude, I know, but you know what though, man? When you're under that sort of um, state of mind, I know it could start chasing me because I'm running, but I don't care. You just keep running. It's just, yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah.
I started running,
Yeah, I don't
and I
blame
don't
you.
run. Yeah, yeah, and I'm armed. When I go in the woods, I'm armed. So I didn't post up and 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 pull my firearm out. I started running. I don't even know why I started running is the weirdest thing. So once again, I know it's all circumstantial, but if that happened to me every time I was in the woods, sure, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. So, as someone who was in the military, you say that you've been out in the woods a lot, day and night. What would be the best way to try to sneak up on one of these creatures and get them on film? And I mean, any tactics that you have, I would like to hear about, or any
I
theories.
don't I don't think you could. I think they're too smart. I
Yeah.
don't think you could. I don't think we as a human could. They're going to smell us and hear us so much. I mean, you'd have to be staking out a deer stand for a week or something back in the deep woods, um, and not moving, just sitting in a hide hole, like snipers do. Just sit there for weeks on end and not move and just watch. I, Patterson they got lucky on that film because part of the reason was that was a heavy rainfall year, and that Bluff Creek blew out and knocked down all the trees in that whole area. So the thick forest wasn't thick forest anymore right there. And they lucked out for that reason. They actually could see it. Um yeah, they lucked out. I mean, they got lucky. That They got lucky.
Yeah, for
Yeah, I
sure.
don't know. I don't know how you'd sneak up on them, dude. I don't think you can. That they're gonna hear you. They're gonna know you're there so much before you know they're there.
Yeah,
They're too
absolutely.
smart, dude.
I mean, a lot of the times when people do see them or possibly sneak up on them, maybe the creature is allowing the person to see them. And I mean, people have brought it up before in the past that maybe it's trying to lead you away from a little one or from potential danger. And I've seen deer do that too. Whenever they have like a little one in the tall grass, they'll kind of try to come out in the open and walk the opposite way and kind of try to lead you away from where the little one's at.
Yeah, yeah. Which is something that we as humans would do if we felt threatened, with our, being around our children. Yeah, which just goes. I mean, yeah. I mean, and that all makes sense to me, but it's just, yeah, I'm just, it's all really confusing when you're back in the woods and you're just hearing and seeing stuff that shouldn't be happening. Like, let me ask you, like if they want to gift you something and they go get a marmot of some sort to gift you, how do they just find it right off the bat? All of a sudden you show up, and then what? They open up the cabinet and they got one sitting there? No, I mean, so how? This is what I'm saying about their smell or whatever they use to detect other life. Um, Man, they just reach in the hole and grab something somewhere, know it's there, and then gift it to you. Like, just their own tracking ability, their own ability to detect another animal. Uh, they're just, yeah.
They're next level,
We
that's for sure.
we don't know they're there unless they want us to know they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of times when researchers go out looking for these things and they go in areas where they've been sighted at before and they don't find any sign, experience any activity, and they feel like nothing's there, that's probably when they're around, because a lot of times, like, you think, like, there's nothing here. I didn't see anything. I've been hunting there for 20 years. I've never seen anything, but that shows how good they are, because a lot of times, like, in these areas that I've explored in the past, like, you'll be hunting or hiking the whole area the whole day, and once it gets dark, something's following you in the woods. It's like, where the hell did this thing come from and what is it?
Yeah, I mean, like that. Well, like I was talking about that time up in the Sierras with my dad, where something was messing with his tent in broad daylight. I mean, uh, for 2 nights of that trip, I remember I didn't know anything about Bigfoot at this time. So I remember us sitting around the campfire, and I remember rocks being thrown at us. And I didn't think much of it. I mean, I didn't think much of anything on that trip, just because I didn't know. I had no idea. And you know, still don't know really what was going on, but something threw a couple rocks at us. Didn't make any noises. I didn't hear nothing, but
Was that by the Hilton
y-
Lake area?
yeah, that was in the Hilton Lakes. That was right on Davis Lake.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty terrifying, because your dad thought that you guys were shaking the tent and, like, poking the tent basically. And I've had an
Yeah.
experience like that. I went out to the Mark Twain National Forest and camped with a researcher when I first started doing this. And it was raining that day. It was kind of a bummer. It's like, man, we came out here and it's raining. That sucks. But it got dark and I got in my tent, and I swear, like, it looked like two heads were like pushing into the tent. And I, like, I don't
Huh.
know. I said something like, kind of like Todd Standing. I was like, "Get out of here!" But I didn't know what it was. I thought it was hogs, like little hogs, like poking into the tent. But I don't know what it was still to this day. I don't want to say it was Bigfoot, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? Those are the times. I mean, I just think it was messing with us. That's I mean, they're probably as curious about us as we are of them. Um, I have no doubt that they mess with us, and that's what I think it was doing with my dad in broad daylight while he was sleeping in the tent and we were gone. Something's just fucking with him.
Yeah, I'm sure he was on edge.
Yeah, he didn't seem too frightened. He still to this day thinks it was us. He kind of won't accept, can't accept, the unbelievable. Um, but we were on the other side of the lake, dude. We were an hour and a half away.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just can't wrap your mind around it. Whenever this big tree came crashing down, can you describe that a little bit more? Like, what happened? Like, what was the weather like? Was it like a completely calm, still day, like a bright and shiny day?
Crystal blue skies,
Hmm.
beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous day. No wind. Yeah, moderate temperatures. I mean, it was a gorgeous day. It was a beautiful day to be on on a creek, you know. And we fly fish. I mostly fly fish. So yeah. We had just hit a bunch of spots, walked a good, mile up, fishing different holes and I don't know, we kind of met up at one spot. We were both tired, our backs were hurting. We were climbing logs and crashing brush and crossing creeks and it was rugged. It's old growth forest, dude. I can't I can't emphasize. I've been in a lot of woods in my life, and I've never been in woods this thick. The only thing close was when I was in the jungles down in Panama. I mean, triple layer, triple canopy jungle. Yeah, you have no idea where the sun's at because there's just your triple canopy jungle, dude. Like,
I've been in old growth forests, and like it's impossible to run through them. Like you have to like walk real slow because there's like layers and layers of old forest underneath the ground, and it's almost like you sink in like crispy, crunchy
yes,
moss, and like if you run, you will definitely break your leg, and everything's like real
yes,
sharp.
yes, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no moving fast through that stuff at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't see a
And
horse
so
hanging out in there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, we were just chilling, taking a break. Yeah, on this kind of grassy knoll on the side of the river, and there was sun beaming down on it, and we were just standing there basking in the sun, and it was warm, and then this tree right in front of us, dude. Like just you know, um, Yeah, 100 foot at least, 100 footer, dude. Like, so you imagine where the base of it was in the forest and it felled it like right in front of us. And so it was still back in the forest line. Um, I couldn't see anything. Um, it was just too thick.
How far away was
And
this tree from you?
it felled it within. I mean, we saw the tip of it came to within, I don't know, 30 feet away from us.
Yeah. And what'd you hear at first? Did it just all come down at once, or did you hear like crack, 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 snap, and then like, you know, all kinds of noise?
There were a couple cracks, but it just mostly, yeah, it just knocked this fucking thing over like it was nothing, dude. A live tree, a live tree with no wind, in a thick forest where there's so many trees that it's almost impossible for a tree to fall because it's going to fall into the other trees that are going to hold them up. I mean, and all the time I spent in the woods, I've never heard a tree fall ever. They just don't. That just doesn't. That's just not a thing. That trees don't just fall. Um, unless there's something making them fall. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
agree. Like green living trees don't just fall on their own. And the only time I've experienced trees just crashing down is like after it rains. They get like really heavy and swollen with the rain. They're rotten and they'll fall. Or if it snows a lot, or if there's like a freeze and, everything gets frozen. Yeah, things will crash and make sense. You don't really question it. But whenever it's a nice, clear, sunny day, like That just doesn't happen.
Just doesn't happen. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Not a live tree. It just doesn't happen. Yeah, so yeah, these yeah, and I mean we heard something moving around back there, but it was nothing definitive. And then it just kind of sounded like it just, I don't know, maybe it walked off and we couldn't hear it anymore, but I don't know, or it just stopped moving and was watching us or something. I don't know. Um, but I looked at my friend and I'm all, you want to go over there and check it out? He's all, no. And there definitely was the feeling that, yeah, we need to get, it's just a thought that ran through my head. We need to get the fuck out. Those exact words was my thought that came into my head. Um, yeah. And then it gifted us something 3 days later. Like, I'm sorry, coincident. Yeah, there are no coincidences like that. Not where they stack up on the same location within the same week. Um,
Yeah.
Things
And
just, yeah.
do you think they were around because you guys were fly fishing in the area?
Yeah, I absolutely think that they were up that canyon somewhere, or for whatever reason. Maybe they're traversing, maybe they're there. I mean, I don't know, but I, I haven't been back. Yeah, I haven't been back there. Fall and winter hit here, and we've we've got 200% of our snowfall. It's just snowing every day right now. So
Yeah, absolutely. Are these the only strange experiences that you've had throughout your life, or have you ever encountered like UFOs and paranormal activity?
well, I did see, um, I did see the event that occurred over Santa Monica, off over kind of the water, um, where there was, yeah, just a big light that split into two, that then split into four, and then started bouncing around, jumping around, and then they all just disappeared. Um, I had a motorcycle back then. I had a Yamaha FZR 600, and I was just, so I had clear view of the whole sky and everything, on my bike. And I was riding towards the coast on the 10 freeway headed towards Santa Monica. And so, yeah, I mean, I could just naturally see the skyline. And I saw that light, and then I saw it break into two, and then both those broke into two, so there were four, and then they started bouncing around really fast, and then they just disappeared. Um, that's about the only experience I've ever, as far as UFOs go. But I did witness that Santa Monica event.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay. John, do you have any more experiences that you'd like to share, or do you have any questions for me before we wrap things up?
Well, I was mostly just curious. I know people write you a lot, so I was mostly just curious, or if anybody's listening or whatever, if you've had similar experiences. Have you ever heard lip flapping, in conjunction with what they think, yeah, might be a Sasquatch or something? Um, that's that really unnerved me. That situation. It's probably about the most afraid. I broke out into a run. And that's really unnerving for me to this day still. So yeah, that's really why I contacted you. But that about covers, the obvious ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all experiences that people report over and over again. And the areas that you mentioned, such as the Sierra Nevadas, Crater Lake, Willow Creek, those are all Bigfoot hotspot areas. So that's most likely what it was. And yeah, I do appreciate you for contacting me and sharing these experiences, because they do matter, and it helps other people who are listening validate what they've experienced themselves.
Yeah, I agree. It's helped listening to your podcast. It's pretty much the only reason I reached out. Otherwise, you just kind of everyone looks at you like you're weird. What happened? No.
Oh yeah, I know the feeling for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yep,
John.
that about covers it, my friend. Yep.
All right. Well, if you experience anything else in the future, definitely feel free to reach out to me. Or if you have any questions, definitely contact me.
I will. Will do, Ben. I appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate you, and you have an excellent day.
You too.
All right.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye. All right, John, thank you very much for sharing your Bigfoot experiences with me here on Sasquatch Theory. And I can certainly tell that you experienced something real and unusual. A lot of people do say that these creatures can cloak, and I will admit, in the beginning, I thought that when people said that, it was a scam, and they were talking about the blurry photos that they would take and circle red, and there would be nothing there. But I experienced that for myself in real life, and it does seem like these creatures can be invisible. I don't know how they get so close to people without being seen, but what I encountered, you could see far through the woods, and this thing was only 20 yards in the wood line, and you couldn't see it, and it sounded huge. I've also had them charge at me many times. They would wood knock or push over trees, and you can see where it's coming from, but there's nothing there. And that's the scary thing, is when me and people have been followed out of an area, we were paralleled out, and you could see it was in the middle of the day, and it wasn't that far off into the woods during the winter time when there wasn't that much brush or leaves on the trees, and you couldn't see what was making that sound. So I definitely do believe you, and I understand your frustration with this subject. And yeah, I believe that you would know if it was an elk or a black bear, and they would present themselves, or you would see something in the tree line to indicate that it was a known animal. But yeah, these things are otherworldly, they're next level, and there does seem to be something alien or supernatural behind it all, and hopefully one day we gain some understanding. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for listening today. If you guys can, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and until the next one, you guys be safe out in the forest.